Alrighty. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Marilyn Singer. I am the Communications Manager for the Long Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. We have a great presentation for you today featuring our longtime member, Bryson Financial. Please note this webinar is being recorded and we will be sending it to all of our attendees. It will also be available on our YouTube page for all of our members. If you have any questions at all during this presentation, please use the chat feature. We will be having a brief Q&A session towards the end of the presentation. Now, before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for the Small Business Resiliency Series, City National Bank, Southwest Airlines, Dignity Health St. Mary Medical Center, City of Hope, and Denso. Thank you to our sponsors for making this series possible. And with that, I'm pleased to introduce our speaker today, Andrew Ganz, Director of Retirement Plan Services at Bryson Financial. Andrew and his team provide investment, compliance, and employee financial wellness advice to over 150 businesses. Today, we'll be discussing multiple employer plans and how members of the Long Beach Area Chamber of Commerce have a unique opportunity to leverage a multiple employer plan built specifically for chamber members. Please take it away, Andrew.
Thanks, Marilyn. Appreciate the warm introduction, and thank you all for taking a few moments of your Monday to join today's presentation. Just one sort of background item to start with is from a legislative standpoint, there have been two major legislative developments aimed at covering more Americans with a retirement plan at their workplace. And those two things were the passage of a law back in late 2022 that said any new plan starting up needs to automatically enroll its employees. So employees are forced into the plan and have to opt out rather than opting in with new plans. And again, that's, the legislative intent of that is to cover more Americans through a workplace retirement plan. And then the second major regulatory sort of influence here is state by state regulation that requires employers in certain states to offer a retirement plan. So for example, for California employers, if you have more than 5 employees, you are required to offer a retirement plan. And that gets us to this multiple employer plan. What is a multiple employer plan? Why would we, what do they do for us? Traditionally, multiple employer plans have been offered to very similar organizations. So one plan could be created for, the Subway sandwich franchise owners. And so each individual franchise owner doesn't have to think of, what plan provisions should I have in place? What should eligibility be? What should my match be? Which providers should we work with? Which funds should we offer? A multiple employer plan has all of those decisions made for the businesses that participate in that plan. So the sort of beauty of a MEP or the power of a multiple employer plan is each entity that chooses to participate in that multiple employer plan does not have to bother with the individual decision making around providers and funds and provisions and the like. The second major advantage to a MEP is if you're an employer with over 100 balance holders in your 401k plan, you're required to do an annual audit. By participating in a MEP, this is, remember, one plan for all that choose to join it. There's only one audit for all members of the MEP. So in essence, the audit cost is shared or spread among all MEP members rather than each individual employer having to find their own auditor and pay those costs. Audits are going up and up and up each year. They used to be, $10,000, $12,000 a year. I think the average range that I'm seeing right now is 17 to maybe 22, $25,000. So again, a major benefit to participating in a MEP is to divvy that cost up among the members. Bryson Financial does all of the legwork with respect to selecting providers and selecting and monitoring funds. We're also available to meet with any employee for one-on-one conversations and offering individual help with any decisions they might be facing in their retirement plans as well. We have what we call an unbundled structure. So we've partnered with Transamerica to do the record keeping. So any money in and money out, all those transactions are processed by Transamerica. We have a TPA from Benefit Equity that handles all the regulatory filings. And we've basically hand selected each provider for their particular expertise in supporting multiple employer plans. So again, Bryson handles investment selection and monitoring. Transamerica is the custodian or record keeper. Money in and money out transactions are processed by Transamerica. Your employees' statements would say Transamerica on them. If they wanted to view their account or make a change, they would use the Transamerica app or website. So Transamerica is very much sort of the employee-facing component here. Benefit Equity does the annual 5500 prep and compliance testing, and then NPPG is responsible for timely 5500 filings. So those are our partners that each play a part in making sure that from year to year the plan operates in compliance. Bryson, just another note about Bryson. We're the primary contact for, think of us as relationship management. So any service escalations, any questions that you have about compliance, those can all flow through us. We provide annual investment oversight and compliance guidance. So if you had particular questions about your business and things like what should your eligibility provisions be? What should your match be? How do we design a plan for your population? You do have flexibility at the plan level on two important things, eligibility and employer contribution decisions. So we can help you tailor those two items to your population. We are a 338 fiduciary, which means Bryson is responsible for the selection and monitoring and the replacement of fund options should any fail to perform up to their standards. So we take on all of the fiduciary liability with respect to the investments that are offered in the plan. And again, we work closely sort of in coordination with Benefit Equity and Transamerica. So any service issues and also promotion of the plan. So just making sure that if you choose to join the MEP, that your participants are aware of the plan and its benefits. We partner closely with Transamerica to get the word out. Bryson's been recognized in a number of areas for our expertise and our depth in the 401k consulting area. So 401k Wire, Plan Advisor Magazine, Alfred P. Sloan, Financial Times, and the Chamber itself, among others, have all recognized Bryson for our expertise in retirement plan consulting. We have about 150 employers that we consult with on their retirement plans, several thousand account holders, and about a little over $1.5 billion in retirement plan assets that we provide stewardship for. So really proud of what we've accomplished, and and we're happy to offer our expertise to chamber members. Um, the MEP that we're discussing today was built exclusively for chamber members. So this is unique to the chamber. It's a unique offering that, again, is exclusively for chamber members. And we're just so proud to be a Long Beach, a chamber member and have been here headquartered in Long Beach for over 50 years. So um, we have deep Long Beach roots, and we're very, very proud of that. Again, Transamerica, this is the name that your participants would see most in their day-to-day interactions with their 401k plans. So the app, the website, making changes to contribution amounts, selecting funds, naming beneficiaries, all of that would be recorded at Transamerica. Benefit Equity, they are our TPA. Their expertise particularly is in plan documents and annual filings and testing. And then just move on here. And PPG, once again, as a 316 fiduciary, is responsible for the timeliness of filings. Pricing has been negotiated up front, and it is tiered based on each business's assets. So for businesses with, say, $1 to $2 million in assets, there's a price of 91 basis points, and that slides down as plans grow, and that includes all of the service providers that we've discussed up to this point. So tiered, pre-arranged pricing that reduces as your plan grows. And I think it's important to sort of compare this to CalSavers. We mentioned earlier that there are these legislative efforts to cover more folks with retirement plans at the workplace. CalSavers is, if you don't offer any kind of retirement plan individually, then if you have more than 5 employees, you must offer CalSavers. It's a $7,000 contribution limit. The state of California decides what the investment options are. There's really no investment advisor support or guidance available to individual participants. They're easy. It's easy to sort of set up and maintain, but that contribution limit and the lack of support has been a real challenge for a lot of folks that we've talked to. By offering a 401k, first of all, there's about a 4x improvement in the contribution limit. You have a choice between, or each individual depositor has a choice between either having deductible or Roth contributions. You have the flexibility, if you'd like, to offer matching contributions. Financial advisor support from Bryson is available to every employee covered by the MEP. If you did opt to make employer contributions, you can attach a vesting schedule to them. So just vastly more flexibility available to 401k providers or employers that choose to offer a 401k. And we're here to help every step along the way to make it as easy as possible for you. Those CalSavers deadlines have already come and gone. So if you've got over 5 employees, June of 2022 was the deadline to either stand up a retirement plan or participate in CalSavers. I haven't heard much about enforcement of this, but I am sure that it's coming. So if you've got any questions about whether the retirement plan requirement applies to you, let us know. But just that is in effect. The takeaway is that the CalSavers, or the California state requirement that you offer a retirement plan, is in effect if you've got more than 5 employees. Outside of 401ks, we've got deep experience in 403b plans and 403a plans for non-profit organizations, defined benefit pension plans, or the IRA-based plans, any of those plans is considered um, is considered offering a plan for purposes of whether Cal Savers applies to you or not. So if you have some sort of retirement plan, but it's not a 401k, and you're not sure whether you're in compliance with Cal Savers or not, we can always take a look and let you know. But it's not just 401k or Cal Savers. Any of the plan types that you see here on the screen satisfy the California requirement. Um, Lastly, we're here for any 401k related or retirement plan related questions you might have. Um, Jennifer Gage leads our sales efforts. I'm here as well. We'd love to talk to you and hear about any unique or individualized questions that you might have. So Jen Gage or myself, Andrew.Ganz at BrysonFinancial.com. Both of us are here to work one-on-one with you on any 401k related or retirement plan related questions you might have. And with that, Marilyn, why don't we go ahead and open it up for questions?
Perfect. Thank you, Andrew. That was such a great presentation. As you said, we'll now open up for questions. So feel free to submit them in the chat if you haven't already. And we will be going over them. I think we might have a first one right now. Andrew, are you able to see the questions?
I'm not. If you could read
Okay.
it to me, I would really
Yes,
appreciate it.
no problem. So the first question says, what happens if our company grows or changes after we join?
So if your company grows or changes, first of all, you can, if the MEP for whatever reason isn't meeting your needs at some point in the future, you can always sort of spin off from it and just have a freestanding plan. If you'd like, if there are features that you need that aren't available in the MEP, whatever that might be, you can always spin off from it and have a freestanding plan. I think we're here to work with each customer individually and make sure that the MEP is meeting their needs. So if there's something that um, makes sense for one and it makes sense for others, then we can consider, is that something that can be deployed across the whole map? So there's still an open conversation around, features and benefits, and if something makes sense for one and it makes sense for others, we can always amend the map and offer those features going forward.
Perfect. The second question is, are there any restrictions on the types of businesses that can join the Chamber's map?
They would need to be for-profit businesses, but C Corp, S Corp, LLC doesn't matter.
Great. Someone asked, can small businesses with just a few employees join?
Absolutely. There's no minimum size. I'd say there is, when we think about the advantages, there is some real benefit to those with over 100 balance holders splitting the audit cost. I mean, that is a major motivator. Not applicable to those with under 100 balance holders, but the MEP is absolutely, open and available to businesses of all sizes.
Great. And this last question I'm seeing right now is saying, are there any penalties if a business decides to leave the MEP later?
No penalties to leave. There are penalties for not complying with Cal Savers. So if you don't offer this plan, offer a plan, is kind of the takeaway there. There's no penalty to leave, but there is a penalty for non-compliance with Cal Savers. So once again, if you don't choose to offer the MEP, um, I hope you choose to offer a plan. If you'd like to stand up an individual plan, we're happy to help with that as well. Most of the mentioned that we serve about 150 organizations. Most of those are freestanding plans for individual businesses. Really, the purpose of offering the MEP is to make it easy to be a retirement plan sponsor and to comply with the California requirements, and that's something we wanted to do for chamber members.
Great. I'm not seeing any more questions. Now is your time to write them in the chat if you have any more. Okay, and with that, I want to say thank you again, Andrew, and thank you everyone who joined us today. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube page soon. Thank you for joining us and have a great rest of your day.